2018 Aston Martin Valkyrie review. Mostly known for its V12-powered Grand Tourers and the race cars based on them, Aston Martin isn't the kind of automaker you'd go to in search of a supercar. There is one exception though. In 2009, the Brits launched the 1-77, a coupe that was powered by the most powerful, naturally aspirated engine at the time, was loaded with state-of-the-art features, and built in extremely limited numbers. Come 2016 and Aston Martin unveiled its first full-fledged supercar. Called the MRB001, it was developed in collaboration with Red Bull Racing and will hit public roads in 2018. Although the full details on the car aren't out yet and the preliminary photos show a prototype that will be further revised before the official launch, Aston Martin promises that the MRB001 will be an unprecedented fusion of form and function, and a vehicle that will be entirely usable and enjoyable as a road car, but with the capability to perform like no road car before it on a racetrack. These claims are mighty brave, but not surprising given the fact that the supercar is a joint effort with F1's Red Bull Racing, which is headed by Adrian Newey, arguably the most successful Formula One designer. The F1-derived technology, Newey's extensive knowledge about aerodynamics, and Aston Martin's vast racing experience should make the MBR001 quite the insane supercar. The car's projected performance is in line with that of today's LMP1 Le-Mans sports prototypes, which sounds spectacular to say the least. The task of engineering the MRB001 will be shared between Q by Aston Martin Advanced and Red Bull Advanced Technologies, with production taking place at Aston Martin's Gaydon facility, the exact same factory that was built for the 1-77. A track-only version is also on the table, but until we find out more about that, let's have a closer look at the prototype that previews the road-going model. Updated July 15, 2016, Aston Martin dropped a new promo video for its latest MRB001 supercar developed in cooperation with Red Bull. Hit play for some unveiling scenes from the Aston Martin's Gaydon headquarters. Exterior. Aston Martin had very little to say about the MRB001's exterior. What we do know so far is that the body will be built around a carbon fiber structure and that the aerodynamic kit will deliver unprecedented levels of downforce in a road-legal car. Also, the British firm said that much of this downforce is generated through underfloor aerodynamics, which probably means that the chassis is derived from Red Bull's Formula One design. As far as styling goes, the MRB001 is very similar to an LMP1 Le-Mans prototype. It has a low-slung silhouette, a short nose, long rear deck, extremely short overhangs, muscular wheel arches, and a canopy-like roof that extends above the engine. The front end has very little in common with current Aston Martin models outside the badge and the headlamps. The same goes the rear and pretty much every other element of this car. This is not surprising, however, as the MRB001 is supposed to be an Aston Martin like no other. Making the prototype that much more interesting is its Formula One-style underbody. Although it looks like a conventional supercar, the chassis is actually based on the open-wheel design of F1 cars. This is most visible if you look in the area between the nose and the carbon fiber splitter, as well as the open area just under the doors. Around back, instead of the traditional diffuser that goes all the way to the ground, the MRB001 sports a tunnel-like element that channels the air that comes from under the nose. The nearly flat fascia, the low-slung rear section of the roof, and the thin wing also suggest that Newey designed an intricate aerodynamic system that seems to blend knowledge from both Formula One and Le-Mans. On the other hand, the prototype is supposedly about 80% production ready, which means that certain modifications will be made to the exterior before the final version breaks cover. Interior. Aston Martin had nothing to say about the supercar's interior and there are no pictures to run by, but based on the MRB001's purpose and looks, it should get a driver-focused, race-inspired interior. Look for a rather simple dashboard with a massive screen for a center stack, an all-digital instrument cluster displaying all sorts of performance-related parameters, a LMP1 prototype-inspired steering wheel, and a pair of bucket seats likely made from carbon fiber. It's really difficult to picture what will the cabin look like with no actual hints, so I'll leave it at that for the time being. Under the hood of the MRB001 will lurk a high-revving, naturally aspirated V12 engine. In a market that's slowly moving toward turbocharged power plants and hybrid drivetrains, this is excellent news for gearheads. Although Aston Martin had nothing to say about the output, it did mention that V12 has the potency to achieve a 1:1 power-to-weight ratio, which translates to 1 PS per kg of weight. This is not unprecedented in the supercar industry, as Koenigsegg has already achieved it with the Koenigsegg 1:1, but it's a rare and tremendous feat to accomplish. Even though there are no specific figures to run by, this power-to-weight ratio should return sub-3 second 0 to 60 mph sprints. The V12 engine will be backed by a race-spec transmission conceived by Adrian Newey from a clean sheet and developed by Red Bull Advanced Technologies. Also penned by Newey, the suspension system will feature innovative technology and employ principles honed over his 30-year career. It might not be much as far as information goes, but it sounds very exciting. There is no information on pricing, but Aston Martin did say that production will be limited, between 99 and 150 vehicles. These figures also include the prototypes and the 25 track-only versions. All told, it's safe to assume that the Brits won't build more than 125 road cars. First deliveries will commence in 2018. As far as pricing goes, the MRB001 will fetch well in excess of £1 million, about $1.3 million. Competition. Koenigsegg 1:1. Although the 1:1 is no longer in production, it's the only supercar that has a 1:1 power-to-weight ratio. Introduced at the 2014 Geneva Motor Show, the 1:1 tips the scales at 3,000 pounds and comes with 1,342 horsepower on tap. The latter is the equivalent of 1 megawatt, which makes the 1:1 the world's first megacar. All that power comes from Koenigsegg's in-house, twin-turbo, 5.0-liter V8 engine and travels to the wheels through a 7-speed, dual-clutch transmission. The 1:1 needs around 3 seconds to hit 62 miles per hour, 6.6 ticks to reach 124 miles per hour, and 11.9 seconds to hit 186 miles per hour. Koenigsegg also claims it benefits from 1,345 pounds of downforce at 162 miles per hour and 1,829 pounds at 273 miles per hour. This statement means that the 1:1 could reach a top speed higher than the Bugatti Veyron's 269.86 miles per hour and the Hennessy Venom GT's 270.49 miles per hour, but an official test was never showcased. Koenigsegg built only 6 units of the 1:1 apart from the car it kept for itself. All were sold for at least $2.85 million a pop. Conclusion. It's been 4 years since Aston Martin discontinued the 1-77 and it turns out that the Brits are ready to launch their second modern supercar. It's a bit unexpected given the company's recent financial problems, but it's great to have yet another brand tackle the hypercar segment. But, while both the 1-77 and the Vulcan are amazing cars, it seems that Aston Martin wants to take things up a notch and offer a world-beating hypercar that will be faster and more aerodynamic than anything else available on the market. It's definitely too early to make predictions, but given Red Bull Racing's involvement in the project, the MRB001 should be a spectacular supercar. Unfortunately, we will have to wait a little longer to get a hold of the juicy details behind it.